MOVC, welcome to the Inner Sleeve. I am your host DR, and today I have a vinyl arrivals video for you. This is my vinyl arrivals for April 2023. If you're a regular subscriber, you probably have noticed that I did not do a March vinyl arrivals, and that is because I did not get anything. So this is the first one since January. And I do have a couple more albums that I might actually pick up in April, but I will add those to the next video. So let's go ahead without further ado and take a look at what I picked up. The first album I picked up is Machine Head's third studio album. It was released on August 9th in 1999, The Burning Red. So this is Machine Head's first venture into new metal, and a lot of people didn't like that. But it was only their third studio album, so even though, they've had a couple albums come out, their sound was still evolving. They were trying different things. And I think this is actually a pretty good album. That's why I picked it up. This was also Machine Head's first album with Aru Luster on lead guitar. In addition to Aru, we obviously have Rob Flynn, who is to Machine Head what Dave Mustaine is to Megadeth. And obviously this is Rob Flynn's band, basically. Bass, we have Adam Duce, and on drums, Dave McLean. So that's who makes up the band for this particular album. So what I'm going to do is show you the vinyl and the jacket, and then talk about a few of my favorite songs and move on to the next one. So mine is the 2020 Music on Vinyl release. Came out on December 4th, I believe, of 2020. And mine is on black 180 gram vinyl. So the jacket does come in a outer sleeve that has the adhesive on it. Not my favorite, but I do like to preserve it if I can, because then I can keep the wonderful information here on the hype sticker as part of that. Front of the jacket and back of the jacket. Let me remove the plastic outer. So here we go with the front of the jacket without the cover on. The back of the jacket. And then there also is a insert. So insert with lyrics and as well as some other information. Kind of all weird directions in order to look at everything. So it comes in a poly-lined inner sleeve. The vinyl quality is outstanding, as MOV is usually the case with MOV. It wasn't really even that dirty. So this was the first album in a while where I just put it on the turntable and just brushed it and didn't have to do a deep clean. But I did eventually, just to make sure it was clean. But you can see the labels are pretty plain. This sounds excellent. Great sounding version of this album. So my favorite songs on the album. Side A starts off with the intro, which is Enter the Phoenix. It leads into Desire to Fire. Good song. Nothing Left. Also good. Love the Blood, the Sweat, and the Tears, which is track 4 on here. That moves into Silver, From This Day, and Exhale the Vial. Also a good song. Side B, this is my least favorite part of this album, that they have a cover in the middle of the tracks. The start of side B is Message in a Bottle, so a police cover. Kind of a weird pick. I like it, but it should have been at the end or on a covers album. That moves into Devil with the King's Card, I Defy, 5, and The Burning Red. All pretty good songs. So really like this album. Glad I picked it up on vinyl. Moving on to my next vinyl arrival, and this is Machine Head's 9th studio album. It came out on January 26th of 2018, Catharsis. So Catharsis is an album that a lot of people say kind of picked back up into the new metal type of music from Machine Head. And I kind of agree with that, but also, again, to me, it just sounds great. Good Machine Head album. Not their best, but I don't know if I would say it's their worst, although I think a lot of people do say that. But I think it definitely stands on its own and I enjoy it. And it is another one that I could actually find on vinyl, so I had to pick it up. So here's the front of the jacket. The back of the jacket. This is a Nuclear Blast release. I believe this is just original release. It is a gatefold, so here's the inside of the gatefold. Mine is on 180 gram black vinyl. Again, this sounds really good. They did a good job. And I really think the sound quality, the production of the album, as well as the quality of the vinyl is outstanding. So this is on 2 LPs. It is in polyline sleeves, another bonus. Both LPs look very similar, so I'm just going to show you one. Side 1 and side 2. So this album was the last album prior to a couple of guys from the band departing because of creative differences, arguments with Rob Flynn. They didn't like what the album turned out to be, I guess. We have drummer Dave McClain and guitarist Phil Demmel both left. Kind of a big loss, but the new album that came out recently still sounds is still a really good album. I don't remember who they picked up. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. On bass, we have Jared McEachran, and I believe he was still with them for the most recent, but I'm not 100% certain. So side 1 starts out with Volatile, moves into Catharsis, Beyond the Pale, California Bleeding. I really like almost all of side 1. I didn't take any notes as I was listening. I don't know this album super good. I'm still getting into it. So unfortunately, I can't for sure tell you which ones I like the most. Side 2 starts out with Triple Beam, which is a pretty good song. Kaleidoscope. Bastards is kind of different. And then Hope Begets Hope after that. Side 3, we have Screaming at the Sun. Behind the Mask. Decent song, but also a little bit kind of a melodic song. And then Heavy Lies the Crown, another good song. Moving into side 4 with Psychotic. Great song. Grind You Down. Razor Blade Smile, and then Eulogy is an interesting way to end the album. Obviously, Eulogy is a good way to end things, but kind of a different song, if you will. But overall, I do really like this album and glad I picked it up. So my next vinyl arrival was by Avenged Sevenfold. This is their 5th studio album, released on July 23rd, 2010. This album was released on Warner Brothers Records, and here's my copy. This is I believe a 2022 reissue that came out on translucent blue vinyl. Here's the front of the jacket. I do like the artwork on this. The back of the jacket. And it is a gatefold. And the gatefold has lyrics. No insert in this one since it had the lyrics in the gatefold. It did come in paper sleeves, unfortunately, so I replaced them with MoFi inner sleeves. Side A, side B, basically all the sides look the same. I do really like this translucent blue color. Unfortunately, I did have a somewhat, I guess I would say, noticeable warp. Nothing that hurt playback, but it's always disappointing to me when you spend this much money on vinyl and it comes in warped. It also had a little bit of background noise as leading into the first track on both side A and side B, so that was a bit annoying as well. This is their first album without drummer Jimmy the Rev Sullivan, who passed away in December of 2009, and this came out middle of the year 2010, so he was obviously not able to perform everything on this, though I believe there are some parts in here that he did perform. On lead vocals and piano, we have M. Shadow. On rhythm guitar, we have Zachy Vengeance. On lead guitar, we have Sinister Gates. And on bass, we have Johnny Christ, or Johnny Christ, not sure how he says that. Filling in for drums for the session drummer was Mike Portney from Dream Theater, obviously. And so drums obviously are done really good on here. And it is a pretty good album. So I'm not a huge Avenged Sevenfold fan, but I do like some of their stuff. I do like a lot of the songs on this album, but not all of them. Trying to remember. Sometimes I don't remember the song titles well, but I do like Nightmare quite a bit. Welcome to the Family is okay. Buried Alive is a really good song. We got God Hates Us on here. Victim. Tonight the World Dies. Fiction and Save Me. I think I skipped Natural Born Killer. But those are the songs on this album. So I am glad I picked it up. Happy to have at least one Avenged Sevenfold album in the collection. Moving on to my only used record pickup for this vinyl arrivals is David Lee Roth's Eat 'Em and Smile, his debut album that came out July 7th, 1986. So at that time, I was about 15 years old. So I do remember when this album came out. I do remember liking some of the songs off it. So when I saw it in the used section of the record store, I decided I wouldn't mind having a copy and picked it up. So the jacket on this used copy was in really good shape, but unfortunately it did not have the insert. I do find the album artwork very interesting and nice and colorful and enjoyable. Mine just came in a generic paper inner sleeve. Here is the side A and side B. I was fortunate. This sounds really good. It does have some light, scuffing, and you wouldn't say it's a VG plus or an excellent from looks, but from playback, it's definitely a VG plus. So in the David Lee Roth band for this album, we have, of course, David Lee Roth on vocals, Steve Vai on guitars, which you can tell by the way he makes the guitars talk a little bit, which seems to be a Steve Vai thing, to sound like humans. We have Billy Sheehan on bass and Greg Bissonette on drums, so a pretty good all-star crew there, if you will. My copy is an OG original pressing on Warner Brothers Records label. So on side one, we have Yankee Rose, one of my favorites from the album. Most people know that one. Shy Boy, I'm Easy, Ladies Night in Buffalo, and Going Crazy. And then on side two, we have Tobacco Road, another of my favorites songs on the album. Again, one most people will know from this album. Elephant Gun, Big Trouble, Bump and Grind, and That's Life. I was happy to find this, an inexpensive used copy of this that sounded good. Moving on to the last one. Of course, given the shirt I'm wearing and the timing of this video, would you expect anything less than Metallica's 11th studio album, 72 Seasons, that was released on April 14th of 2023. So obviously a lot of hype around anything Metallica. It's hard to believe they only have put out 11 studio albums. You look at some of the other bands from that time. Overkill, for example, has put out 20 albums. Megadeth is definitely up there in the upper teens. I forget off the top of my head how many. So they just really haven't had the outputs that some other bands did. That part of the reason that anytime they have a release, there's lots of hype. Everybody's kind of, desperate for more Metallica. So I'm not going to give any impressions on this one yet because I am working on a album review video for it that will hopefully be out soon. But let's take a look at the packaging. So mine is the limited edition. Of course, everything's limited edition these days. The indie retail version on Midnight. Let's just call it Midnight LP. So we have the front of the jacket and the back of the jacket. I have to say I'm not a big fan of this cover artwork. To me, it looks a little busy. It's a little disturbing. And the yellow, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the artwork. It just does not appeal to me. This one is nice and thick, this jacket. It's actually very hard to get in and out of your typical outer sleeve. So that's kind of a pain, but it is a gatefold. And it's interesting what you see when you look through there. It looks like James Hetfield behind bars and Lars Ulrich behind bars of 72. That looks like bars, in my opinion. These are inner sleeve graphics, very close-up pictures of the band's, each guy, band member's face, which is a little disturbing as well. I don't know that I needed to see James Hetfield or Kirk Hammett's face that close up, or any of the other guys, to be honest. Lars, and then Rob, obviously, on the back here. We do also get some liner notes, little booklet that has the lyrics. Again, nice and bright yellow. And you do also get a download card in case you want to download some crappy MP3 versions of the album. Now, taking a look at that midnight colored vinyl, to me that's purple. But I guess if you feel that midnights look like purple, then that's what you get. Pretty basic labels there. Overall, this is just standard weight vinyl, I would say. Definitely not 180 gram. The sound quality is pretty good overall, not too warped or anything. I did have a little bit of, I believe it was on side 4 or side D, a little bit of crackling in one spot, maybe just a little dirt. As I said, I'm not going to give any impressions this video. I will name the song titles: 72 Seasons, Shadows Follow, and Screaming Suicide, all on side A. On side B, we have Sleepwalk My Life Away, You Must Burn, Lux Eterna, which was one of the singles they released. On side C, we have Crown of Barbed Wire, Chasing Light, If Darkness Had a Sun. And on side D, we have Too Far Gone, Room of Mirrors, and Inamorata. So that's all I got, guys. Hope you enjoyed this Vinyl Rivals video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Keep those turntables spinning. See ya.